in the instructions of a pure devotee. That's what Draupadi is saying in the purport. How will your heart become pure? It is by association with a pure devotee. A pure devotee is absorbed in Krishna. He is very closely connected with Krishna. And because of associating with such a devotee who is connected with Krishna, you also become connected, you also become pure. Now, these are all, almost like mystical things, you can say. Because in our position now, anything we don't understand, we will think is mystical. That's another problem we have. We're relegated to thinking it's mystical. I don't have to put my energy to try to understand it. Right? No. There is an amount of things that we can understand. Even the mystical aspect we can understand to be really a process, part of the process. It is not that it should dismiss something as mystical. Krishna consciousness definitely has a very fine, very tender aspect of it. Because why? Indriyani parani ahur indriyebhya parammanah manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhe paratastu saha. Krishna is showing the hierarchy in Bhagavad Gita. The body and the senses is the part that is grossest for us. But greater than that, he says, is the mind. Indriyebhya parammanah manasastu parabuddhir. And greater than the mind, more subtler than the mind is intelligence. Then you can imagine how more subtle will be false ego. And subtlest of them, yo buddhe paratastu saha. That spirit soul is the subtlest of them all. And it is not even matter, fully spiritual. So you can imagine, if you want to understand something on the level of spirituality, how subtle should our consciousness or our intelligence move through. There is a limit to how much we can shift from the bodily platform to the mental platform, to the intellectual platform, to the identity platform, and beyond that to the spiritual platform. To the spiritual platform, and then on top of that, you're talking about relationships with the Lord in devotion, bhakti operating. So this is super subtle aspect that is being spoken today. Therefore, sometimes we may not be able to understand with our gross intelligence, with our material intelligence. So in faith, a devotee may, even if I don't understand it, there is a certain thing that happens in the heart. A faith develops that cannot be explained by logic, that cannot be explained by calculation and mathematical stuff, that cannot be explained by any amount of rationality. It's a language of the heart. Because everybody has got love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is an operation of love. Bhakti Devi is operating. If you start out of faith and out of knowledge that you have got, from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavatam, from the devotee, you develop faith. Adau Shraddha. It says you have developed faith because you've done some reading, understood, and somewhere in the heart, you get that feeling that this is right. I should give it some energy. And you start performing. Tata sadhu sangha. Then you start associating. Ata bhajana kriya. Then you start doing sadhana. What happens to you is anartha nivriti. That's what is described here. Devotee whose heart has been completely cleansed by the process of devotion service at the stage of anartha nivriti, and who is favored by Bhakti Devi. Because you're working with faith, in the words of the pure devotee, and the pure devotee is so closely associated with Krishna, Bhakti Devi becomes pleased. And when you're in the process of cleaning, you're endeavoring to remove the weeds, you're being honest about it, you're actually wanting to connect with Krishna, seeing your sincerity, seeing your hard work, then Bhakti Devi descends into your heart. It says here, Bhakti Devi is favoring you. Bhakti gets planted in the heart. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. The Bhakti Lata Bij gets planted in the heart. Right? Otherwise, it says that associating with the material energy is like a dark well. What does that mean? It means that if you fall into that well, nobody can help you. Why? Nobody can hear you. Graham Andakupam. Sometimes materialistic grahastha life is like that. It's described in the Bhagavatam as Andakupam, bottomless well, dark bottomless well. All you can hear is a person falling into the echoing while he is falling into it deeply. That's all you can hear. Imagine falling into such a dark, bottomless well and nobody knows where he went. Nobody knows what's happening to him because nobody can hear him anymore, see him anymore. So as far as you are concerned, if you fall into that, which we have fallen actually into that type of a situation, and somehow by the mercy of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, of Lord Chaitanya, we have been picked up. We got an opportunity to read, to eat prasadam, to associate, to dance, to chant. It's a very preliminary thing. And we know that there is something there. At least we know there is a reality there, which is waiting for me, and it is great happiness. By your knowledge, there is a pointing finger towards that. It's true. It's real. That is the meaning of Adav Shraddha. Initial faith is very tender. Komala Shraddha. And it can easily be spoilt by somebody. So if you protect your faith, keep associating with devotees, and pursue Krishna consciousness, sadhana, then you get cleansed. Anartha Nivritti. Then comes Ruchi. Then comes Nishta. Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti. After that, you start developing a gradual love for Krishna. See? And you develop a bhava, a first step into love of Godhead. You can experience feelings of love for Krishna, and then prema. Pradurbhave bhavet krama. Kramena means gradually it happens, step by step, step by step. So this is a scientific process. If somebody says this is not science, then they don't understand that science does not mean only matter and material science. There is a science to bhakti. There is a science to your faith developing and crystallizing into prema. Adav Shraddha, and then finally, Tata prema vidanchati sadhakanam ayam premna pradur bhave bhavet krama. Is it? From Shraddha, it becomes prema. So don't people belittle and speak little of faith. Oh, you're a faith-based organization. You don't use your rationality. You don't this. In the world today, you see that you guys are just fanatics because religion becomes like that. If you don't take the faith and lead it up to bhakti, then religion definitely becomes waylaid in between. And most of the religions, whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, and Muslim, Islam, or whatever it is, they have got waylaid from the original purpose and direction given to them. And they have become just fanatic, ritualistic performers. And if you ask them, they just fanatically support their faith. And they cannot answer any questions properly, why you're doing what you're doing. But Srila Prabhupada, he made clear to us about everything that we are doing. There is a reason, there is a purpose, there is a meaning to it. Why we do what we do. It's a big question. Why we do what we do. And we don't do all those things that, in this day and age, we don't do all those things that are taboo. In the sense that they don't work. in this Kali Yuga. So we don't do those things. And there's a great amount of confusion. So you must understand that theology and there is a philosophy. The theology means the science of Godhead, the science of achieving God. Also, the philosophy means the description of the truth, the nature of reality, what it is, the nature of illusion, who am I, what is this body, what is this material world, all these explanations that lead us to understanding the reality, that is called philosophy. And we practice it. We practice that. We have a lifestyle that practices that philosophy and leads us to the ultimate goal. If you ask us theology, we know theos means God. Who is God? Krishna. How does he look? Venum kwanantam aravindalayataaksham barahavatam samasitam buddhasandarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. We'll give you a description of God. What is his address? Goloka Vrindavana. What does he do? He has so many wonderful transcendental activities filled with depth of devotion with his pure devotees in Vrindavana. That is explained. He is a supreme personality of Godhead, solidly powerful, but he doesn't exhibit his power to his devotees like that. He actually has got a diametrically opposite exhibition of his Satchit Ananda, lovable, beautiful personality in sweet relationships with his devotees. And for those who are not devotees, he becomes God. For those who are not devotees, he institutes dharma. For those who are not devotees and who are in between, he is kind to them. He gives them varnashrama, he gives them facilities, he gives them training. But who are on the other end, asuras and everything, he gives them the danda. Because they speak against him, they deny him, they don't understand the reality of God, and they have their own reality with themselves placed in the center. Jai Jagannath Pradev Shubhatramai ki. So they get the danda and the pure devotees get love and amazing, loving prema experience. So we have theology, we know who is God, what he does, what are his activities, what is his feeling. In Bhagavad Gita, it explains God to us. God himself is explaining himself based on the questions asked by Arjuna. There he may be a little official. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshu Arjuna tishtati. He says that Lord is situated in everybody's hearts. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate. Everything is coming from me. Right? And then in this way explains the Vedas, explains the essence of the Vedas, explains who Ishvara is, everything. In that, at times, he slips into a very personal explanation. Sarvasya hridi sannivishto mattah smritirjnanam apohanam cha. When he becomes very merciful and loving, you can see his personality come out and say, I am situated in there. I love my devotees. Yomad bhakta same priya. He becomes personal and he speaks about bhakti, he speaks about relationship between him and a devotee in a very personal way. And then sometimes he becomes official like a guru, like a teacher saying, Ishvara, the Lord, situated everywhere. But he is the same person sitting on the chariot and speaking to Arjuna. He shifts from being from an official teacher, a guru, into being a personality, Krishna, relating with Arjuna. Bhaktosime sakacheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. That's a personal statement. Oh, you're my devotee. You're my friend. Rasa. My rasic relationship with you is sakha. And generally speaking, you're my devotee category. Right? And I have this relationship with you. But then another place is Ishvara Sarva. Another place is saying Sarvasichaham Hridi Sannivishto. And another place is saying all living entities are my part and parcels. Mamaivamsha Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. So you'll see him shifting. He's official, but he's shifting, but he gets back and is official. Like that. But if you go to the Bhagavatam, it is spoken by his devotees who have realized him, and he has got a relationship with those devotees They make no bones about speaking about Krishna and his amazing pastimes and what all he does. His greatness comes out in the Bhagavatam. Why? His devotees speak. There is no official questioning there. Other devotees are asking. Maitreya is speaking to Vidura. Shukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit. And so lot more comes out from the Bhagavatam. Deep philosophical understanding. Like here, what is the process of sadhana, of developing anybody's bhakti, even the ant, to the blue whale, to the mammoth, to the dinosaurs, to you and me. All of them are spirit souls. They all can develop bhakti. Open to them. It's amazing. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you read, it is that Supreme Lord coming himself and revealing his heart. In Bhagavad Gita, he was officially Bhagavan speaking and a little bit of himself came out. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he just pours himself out. He reveals his heart. How his heart aches by separation from his pure devotees. How he is completely controlled by the devotees. How his loving relationship with the devotees rule him. How he is controlled by his devotees. And he loves that coming under the control of his devotee. A wonderful personality of Godhead blooms out when Krishna reveals himself as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He reveals his heart and tells. He's a person. So this is what is the theology we understand. It leads up right from the official status of Lord to his personal understanding, personality, I should say. His personality. He is himself revealing, I am like this. I'm controlled by my devotees. I simply revel in these relationships. And that's all is the greatest wealth in this world. So the philosophy of what is reality, what is the truth, which scientists, philosophers, thinkers, leaders, rulers, kings, munis, rishis, sages have all been trying to understand, is revealed by Lord Chaitanya. It boils down to who is God, what a wonderful person he is, and I love to have a relationship with him. It's natural. Natural. So this is our theology and our philosophy of understanding the truth. We understand God as a person. We know him. We relate with him. We can talk to him, like Prabhupada said. We can talk to him. It is a reality. It's truth. And if a person goes through this pathway, strictly following the instructions, he can experience it. He can experience it. Slowly it will start at some point and then intensify. Adau shatta, tata sadhu sangha, atabachana kriya, anartha nivriti. Then comes Nishta, Ruchi, and then Ashakti, and then Bhava, and then Prema, like that. So, one should not think that this is not a science. The problem is we are all been exposed to one education and we call that science. And science is actually now not answering any question. Science has gone into technology. Technology is doing something and all that. And philosophers are actually separated. They're disappointed with the way science is going. Even scientists have separated and become philosophers of science. And then from there, they've actually become, it's more interesting to actually understand what is the truth, which is what everybody wants to. And religion has repeatedly been a challenge for all of them because it doesn't make sense. If you don't have a sound philosophy that explains why you do what you do, right? And follows it up with the realization, lifestyle, behavior, conviction, and the fruit that comes in the end. It's very difficult for people to understand and follow you. So we should know what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has given us. He's given the entire range of things. Any philosopher who wants to know the truth can appreciate what we are presenting, if we present it properly to them. Any religionist can understand truly what's the meaning of worship of God and why you should do it. And why you should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead only first. Any scientist can also understand there's a theological science in it. That's a science of going from one step to the other, and they may not very much go into it when they become so rationalistic, and because of their being so empirical about certain things, using their brain, senses, everything. It has to pass through my system, then only I can. They have one methodology of understanding. And I say that that's not the only way and method of arriving at the truth. Klesho dhikatarastesham abhyakta sakta chetasam avyaktahi gatir dukkham dehabad biravapyate. That pathway is slow, painful, full of speculation. Prabhupada is very beautifully saying this purport. The devotee is as much. A devotee is called a muni. The word muni means thoughtful. A devotee is as thoughtful as a non-devotee is speculative. Wonderful. A devotee is thoughtful because he knows Krishna. He knows the philosophy. He knows the theology. He knows this is what I should do. And therefore he becomes thoughtful about how to understand this and get to it. You know, he becomes thoughtful because of fascination about Krishna. He becomes thoughtful about the discovery that I'm spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. He becomes thoughtful about the fact that Lord is so merciful. That's why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, if at all you want to deliberate and understand, apply it to the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vichare koile chitte pabe chamatkar. Vichar, thoughtfulness. If you think about the mercy of the Lord and become thoughtful about it, you will get enlightened. It's amazing. So, the so beautifully written purport, Prabhupada is such a genius. Step by step, he analyzes and puts it forward with no extra unnecessarily redundant stuff, to the point, and he explains the philosophy so nicely. So many points have come out in this: association with devotees, chanting the holy name without offenses, and how your heart can be purified, and how one who, if you have pure heart, then the external energy Maya will not affect you, and how after that the devotional service to you, the bhakti process, if you have done it properly, if you have chanted without any offenses and everything, will actually manifest. How Bhakti Devi will become satisfied and nothing external will disturb him anymore. And how a devotee is a thoughtful person, and how the non-devotees are speculative and impure, and how one can actually absorb himself in the name, fame, activities, and pastimes of the Lord. This is the goal. It's closely known and we can understand it. So you can see this is a science. This is an amazing philosophical truth. And the philosophy can be practiced, and the end reality can be achieved, and you will be in the real, in the truth. This is what everybody is looking for. The whole world is looking for this. Scientists are looking for this. They are all nice people. It is just that the way sometimes religion is presented, fanatic, ritualistic way, that it throws off people. This is the age of reason, enlightenment, everything. People are very well informed. And you have to answer people's questions. And if you filibuster, if you speculate, if you play tricks, people can see it. People can see it. So even Krishna conscious devotees, they should learn the philosophy very well. They should understand what is Prabhupada saying here. It's very deep and very elaborate. And he's repeatedly saying certain things because you're not understanding it. I mean, we are not able to understand it. And by repeatedly reading these things, we understand it over a period of time by practice. And we must understand this, and we must present it like this to the people, using the same arguments and developing from there onwards. That's why he is a foundational acharya. He has given us all the foundations of what is required to understand this for ourselves and speak about it to others and make them also understand. Clean points, very nicely mentioned. the absolute truth is explained. So it's our duty to read, deliberate, discuss, and again deliberate and discuss and spiral towards a higher understanding. And at the same time, keep giving your information and knowledge that you have understood humbly to others. And when they ask you something you don't know, get up and read. Get up and try to discuss it, understand it, and go back and say and come forth. And in this way, you also understand, that person also appreciates. Being sincere and straightforward and explaining the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, people appreciate it, especially the very intelligent, highly thoughtful, educated people in this world. It is not that many of them are against religion. It is just that you guys don't answer the question they feel. You don't answer the question. You keep on talking about mystical things, about faith and about believing in certain things which I cannot believe in. I cannot believe in some ogres and demons and four-headed people and elephant-headed people. It's very difficult for me to believe. Show me how I should believe. This is the challenge we face. And then intelligent people we don't preach to. The mass of the people who are willing to follow anything you say because of the suffering they are undergoing. If you give them little food and this thing, they will immediately follow. That is one type of preaching we do. Because you don't have to be a philosophy, great, intelligent person to understand. If you can chant Hare Krishna, your heart will change, you'll develop faith in the Lord. Fine. I don't know great, intricate philosophy. I don't know all that speculative stuff. But I have arrived at the truth. By chanting Hare Krishna, eating prasadam, associating, I am, boom, transported into the reality, into the truth. And mass of the people, it's very easy. The intelligent people who actually have all the power, the money, the assets, the control and everything, if you don't talk to them about and convince them, they'll trouble you when you're with the masses. Not only for that reason, if the class of the people also understand, then it is very easy to preach to the masses. Then society will change. And it is going to happen. Lord Chaitanya preached to the class of people. He told Nityananda Prabhu to preach to the mass of the people. Harinam Sankirtan, Prasadam, a little philosophy, good association, worship of Krishna. Gradually, they will also understand. So it's a real wonderful master plan Prabhupada has made. And we should spend time understanding it. And if we do so, there's no doubt it's going to be successful. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Does anybody have any question? Please. Kumarasamy Shanti is Bhakti Devi, Srimati Radharani. Well, that's not what I heard. Radharani is the Hladini Shakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Bhakti is the manifestation, personification of love of God. It's a very, very elevated topic to discuss here. Bhakti Devi means just like we have Maya Devi, material energy. Her job is to keep everybody in illusion, and it's a thankless job, and Krishna favors her. Similarly, there is in the diametrically opposite way, Bhakti Devi, the other side, love of God, represented, personified as Bhakti Devi. Okay, that's all. Radharani is the supreme bestower of bhakti by her mercy on the living entities of this world. That's the way we should understand it. Okay. Kumar Shami Shanti. Okay, Anjana, how we should approach atheist? Don't approach. Why are you going and approaching an atheist? Maybe the atheist will approach you. You don't have to do that. There are lots of people who are theistic, simple people who don't know, agnostics. Approach them. If the atheist approaches you, then only you respond. However, let's see what you've written. What should be our stand? Certain things to explain are beyond their scope of understanding, and their main question is why God make us suffer. Yeah, good common question. The presence of evil. In the Christian theology, it's called theodicy, study of evil, how do you explain evil in this world? If you say God is control, how is evil in this world? Why not? Why not? Evil is not a product of God. Evil is a byproduct of you not listening to God's instructions. And you produced it in this world, the humans especially. They are the ones who create all these situations and they suffer it and they say, God, what are you doing? And what are you doing before the evil came into effect? You're not doing what you're supposed to do, therefore evil has come into effect. In one sense, you can say, oh, remotely Krishna is responsible. Yeah, and Krishna knows very well what you're doing and how you have produced it by your own disobedience to God. So God is there, evil is there, and because of evil, we suffer. Why you call it evil? Because it is dangerous, it is horrible, it is suffering, it is anxiety, it is all these things put together. Right? But how does evil come in? Because we have leadership that is not educated on how things operate in this world, who is the proprietor and who should be the cause of all the causes. All this is education. When you don't have that education and leaders don't know what they're doing, then material nature will react. There's a system made in such a way that if you don't use it the way God deemed it to be, it will produce this virus. It will produce all these type of things that will trouble you. The trouble, the difficulty, the suffering is all because you do not listen to the words of God. Now somebody will say, no, but I listen to the word of God, I am also suffering. Yeah. You live with people who don't follow, so some of it will rub on you also. What to do? That's the way it is. If you're jailed, but actually you're innocent, but you will be jailed along with the deep, heavy convicts and thoroughly spoiled fellows. You will be roommates with them. What to do? And their tendency and what they get this thing, they will have you also suffer the same things. But that's the inevitable thing. But still, Krishna protects those who are devotees. And there'll be some amount of rubbing here and there. So the presence of evil is not coming from top down. The presence of evil is generated from here. That's my understanding. Okay? Now, people will, how to explain it to the atheistic person who says that, why is there suffering if there is God? To get that from the mouth of an atheist is, first of all, you should ask him, what is your definition of God? Don't use the word God for suffering because you don't believe in God, no? Now, without God, you want to explain suffering? That's what you should ask for. Why are you putting God factor inside? Because you don't believe in God. So don't factor God inside. Try to understand suffering without God. Because this is what you want to know. But don't pull in God because you don't agree with God anyway. So in your argument, you say, without God, why there is suffering, you tell me. It's a counter question you should put to them. Without factoring God in, tell me why there is suffering. Ask him to answer it. You will see he'll come to the same conclusion. People don't follow rules made by us. We are telling climate change, carbon footprint, reduce it, and all that, and nobody is listening. And the whole climate is going haywire, crazy. No God. Okay, no God. Fine. So people don't listen. So where is the evil starting from? Because people don't listen even to you. Why they listen to God? Then you'll have difficulty. Definitely you'll have problem. So you counter question them, and then let's see where we can go from there. Okay, so that's a long topic. I'm just giving you a little idea. Jagadudharan, what is meant by thoughtfulness for a devotee? As we are practicing devotees, what is the measure for not to fall speculative? Kindly enlighten us. That's why there is Guru. That's why there is Prabhupada's books. If you don't keep in touch with Prabhupada's books, if you go and keep in touch with devotees, you will become speculative. The nature of this world is like that. The more you associate with non-devotees, the more you associate with non-realistic things, you will tend to become speculative. And you can, for a devotee who has been in Krishna consciousness, he can understand when he is speculative. He does not know what he is doing. He doesn't know swing from this way to that way and all that. He loses himself. Arjuna suffered speculation actually. In the beginning of the first chapter, the beginning of the second chapter, you say, I don't know. He argues and then he says something and then he says, I don't know. But then he says, okay, forget it. Can you tell me? So, speculation occurs when you're weak in keeping your Krishna consciousness, which means you're not reading and deliberating and putting your mind on it and absorbing and thinking about these things. If you're not doing that, you'll become speculative. Right? So, practically speaking, for my own good, I should read Prabhupada's book every day. I should hear his lecture as and when I can. Just put it inside, because the moment Prabhupada starts speaking, you start thinking, you become thoughtful. The association of a pure devotee will make you thoughtful. He'll throw those type of things inside you. But the association of a sense enjoyer, association of a jnani also will make you speculative. Will make you speculative. That's the unique meaning of association. If you associate with a pure devotee, associate with devotees, if you read Prabhupada's books, hear his lecture, you'll become thoughtful. So don't confuse thoughtfulness with speculativeness. You can see the difference in your own experience. That's my take on it, Jagadudaranji. Sundar Murari Das, Draupadi forgave Ashwathama, even he didn't ask apology. Shiva forgave Daksha after his repentance, yesterday's class. Did Draupadi overlook Ashwathama's character? Please clarify. It's very nicely explained by Prabhupada himself in the purports. Draupadi had several reasons. One of the chief reasons is he's a Brahmana. It's sinful for us to kill a Brahmana. And if you argue with me saying, no, he has killed my sons and he is a murderer, he is that, this thing, that may be. Number two, I didn't want to see his mother suffer like I am suffering. I have lost my children. Now, she is a Brahmani, Dronacharya's wife. Nice lady. I, as a woman, I am thinking of what suffering she will undergo if you kill Ashwathama. She comes to know, my son is dead. How much suffering? She has only one son. So, I don't want you to do anything to Ashwathama. It's a very brilliant instance where even Krishna hints and says that this is what Kshatriyas will do. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for life. But Draupadi intervenes and says, no. Bhima says, yes, kill him. Arjuna says, yes, kill him. Yudhishthira tends to agree with Draupadi. And he says, I go by what Draupadi is saying. Although he is the king now, he won the war, or, it's all this thing. He says, no, I go by what Draupadi is saying, leave him. But actually what happens is they do kill him in a completely different way. He's so much disrespected that his real identity as a Brahmana is completely destroyed. And so in fact, it's worse than killing, it is mentioned. So that's what satisfying to Draupadi, satisfying to the Kshatriyas. In this way, Krishna pulled out a whole solution. So yeah, physically we don't kill him. That's what a woman wants. Okay, no sentiment to him. But we insulted him in such a way, chopped off that diamond stone he has got on his, bunch of hair on the top, and shaved him up, and then like a madman let him. He suffered. Even now he's roaming around in the forest somewhere. Like that is mentioned. Okay. That's the history of that. Draupadi also forgave him. She overlooked his this thing for the sake of his father, his mother, and for the Brahminical class. We should uphold our respect and protection of the Brahminical class. We are Kshatriyas. Under any circumstances, let us do our duty. In this way, Draupadi put duty over revenge. Okay, kindly enlighten us on Bhagavad Dharma, Maharaj. Well, that's a very broad question. What I've been speaking all along is Bhagavad Dharma. Krishna consciousness is Bhagavad Dharma. The Bhagavad Dharma means the religion of love of Godhead. It's called Bhagavad Dharma. This religion teaches you activities that raise your love of Godhead. This religion teaches you activities that purifies your heart. This religion teaches you activities that actually glorify the Lord and make you his servant, as is your original position. This is called Bhagavad Dharma. Okay? This is the real purpose of religion. Any true religion is called Bhagavad Dharma. I hope that helps you. Krishna Priya, we give so many Shastric evidence on Krishna is supreme. But if they say, I don't have faith in Shastra, give some logic evidence. So what shall we reply to them? Yeah, Prabhupada explained this. Krishna is supreme. The logical evidence Prabhupada gave is like the CEO of a company, and there are many different departments, there are many different department heads, and the CEO is supreme. Same way he said cabinet ministers and the prime minister. That's a evidence that he gave. The prime minister definitely is very powerful and he holds the sway over the entire country. Like that, the supreme personality of Godhead, and there are so many gods, and they are all not permanent. They all belong to the relative atmosphere, like you and me. And God, Krishna, is in the absolute atmosphere. Urdhvam gachanti sattvasta. I'm sorry, what is it? The 15th chapter, the first shloka, speaks about Urdhvamulam, sorry. Urdhvamulam atashakam ashwattam prahuravyayam. Moolam means roots. The roots are upwards and this thing downwards. Everything is topsy-turvy in the relative world. In the spiritual world, everything is straight and proper. So we understand, even already many thinkers and scientists and everybody know that I think we are all programmed to live in a simulated world. They talk about this. So we know that we live in a situation where it is temporary and not permanent. That much slowly people are getting an understanding to there's more to life than what we see with our senses and feel with our body and perceive. In this way, we can take them gradually and show them that there has to be a supreme intelligence behind this wonderful working of this world. And he is permanent, he is forever, he is the origin, he is the source, and he doesn't at any time change, he is eternal. So these are logical things that people are willing to understand. And you may take it like that. There are many such logical evidences that we can take. Sometimes people say, no, that is not scientific enough for me. Well, one thing is to get a scientific evidence, one thing is to get a logical evidence. One thing is to get a Shastric evidence. We rely on Shastra, but that doesn't mean that we are blind. We blindly believe in Shastra. No. We apply proper logic, we apply proper rationalization, and then we come to the conclusion. I hope that helps in some way. Sarulata Kishore Kumar. Maharaj, please bless me. Any Maya not to be affect me. Suffering lot in that. I should purify my bhakti in Krishna consciousness. Om Tarsat. Krishnamati Rastu. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much. Have a great Sunday absorbed in Krishna.